Nathan Outlaw is the only two-star Michelin fish chef currently in the world, and he's here to give you a masterclass in cooking fish this morning.
For 3 consecutive years, Nathan has held 2 Michelin stars for his restaurant in Cornwall. A protege of Rick Stein, Nathan has recently opened a new London eatery in the Capitol Hotel.
Good morning, guys.
Hi.
Well done for getting this far. Everyone knows around the world how tough MasterChef is. So to get this stage in the competition, you must be pretty good cooks. Unfortunately for you guys now, I'm going to make it even tougher for you. Okay, so in front of you, you've got a wonderful farm salmon from Clare Island. Now, they produce some of the world's best farm salmon. You should be very proud to be using it today. Now, the reason why we're using farm salmon opposed to wild salmon is that wild salmon is something that we should be protecting all around the world. It's overfished, so therefore, farm salmon is our best option. Okay, guys, if you want to come over and I'll show you and run through how to prep this salmon. Okay, this is probably one of the only chances you'll get to prepare a salmon as beautiful as this. Now, the things we're looking for initially with a fish like this, you're looking for nice bright eyes. The smell should smell of the sea, not of fish. You're looking at the appearance of it. Too many scales have been removed, probably means it's been banged around too much. So the first thing we do with it is basically we cut off all the fins. Yeah, it's quite tough to get through. The reason why we do this, taking all the fins off, is that it makes it a lot easier when we come to scaling it and when it comes to filleting it. We do that with every fish. Okay, so once we got all the fins off, we need to scale it. So firstly, going against the scale. Salmon skin is beautiful when it's nice and crispy. It's almost like the equivalent of crackling, so you want to make sure there's no scales on there. Okay, that's the worst of it off. Now what we do with a filleting knife, and be very careful because obviously you've got a sharp knife, you just gently get the remaining ones off. Right, now what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to remove the head. And why I remove the head before I fillet it is it makes it a lot easier to handle when it comes to filleting. Just before the neck there, you come in, you cut straight through, like so, okay? Now, to fillet a fish this size, the best thing to do, for me, personally, is completely against the rules, is to use a serrated knife. And the reason why we do it is you can get one clean cut right through the salmon, opposed to going at it with a filleting knife and actually making lots of snags in the flesh. So we come in, looking this way, making sure you're on the centre, and looking in the inside, you can see where the knife's going. As close as we can, we make sure we come down. Obviously, you need a nice serrated knife that's very sharp. Okay, and then literally you've got your salmon fillet. Okay, and we do the same thing again on the other side.
It's a dream come true. I adore fish. I love cooking fish, and to get a masterclass from someone as esteemed as him, you know, the only 2-star Michelin fish chef, it's just amazing. Yeah.
Now what we're looking for is a nice smooth fillet. Okay, you can see there's no blemishes there. It's not being snagged into at any point. And then what I want to do is I want to come to the actual, where the rib cage is, with a nice sharp fillet knife. And you come round the rib cage. And then you always pull against it so you can see where you're cutting. Bring the knife down through. Now, pin boning, just with your knife. You can hear that? Basically, you just release all them pin bones so it makes it easier for you to take them out. Okay. What you need to do with the pin bones. They come out very easy, you just got to get the angle right.
So you're pulling them with the grain?
Yeah, so you're pulling them with the grain. If you pull them against the grain, you'll basically, you'll tear the fish. Okay, and that's when they stop. So they stop around about halfway to 3/4 of the way down. Now at this stage, once we know all the bones are gone from that side and it's all clear, just basically we just take off the rest of them scales. See, it's a lot easier at this stage to get them little ones out on the edge. Now the fish is ready to be portioned. What we're looking for is equal size portions, because when it comes to cooking the fish, if they're not the same size, they're going to cook differently. Okay, so basically cut in there, like so. We'll save that for trimmings. Just pace it out before you do it. So 1. Just give a little idea of where you're going before you start. I would take it to about there, because that's when it gets too thin. We're looking for something around about 200 grams. Nice and firm once you get to the skin, you can feel the skin. Okay. Again, nice and firm. It's amazing, you can feed so many people with a fish this size. Okay, save the end bit for trimming. Just double check there's no scales. Okay, then we just give it a little trim. Like so. The reason why I trim off that little bit there is when it comes to cooking, that'll massively overcook because it's just so thin. Okay, 1.
The salmon was a fine specimen. It just looked beautiful. And you could see when Nathan was demonstrating the filling process how much respect he had for the produce.
Okay, so last one. You've got 18 portions of fish there, all the same size. That's what I expect from you guys to come up with. Have you got any questions before you go away and do it?
When you were trimming the edge, you were sort of using a rounding motion around the end, even though they seem to be straight. Was there any reason that you were going in at an angle first and then?
When you come to cooking a portion of fish, there's nothing worse than seeing a blocked off square bit of fish. That's not what a fish is. The fish is natural and it should have a natural shape. So yeah, just using a rounding motion opposed to a very straight motion will give you more of a natural look when you come to cook it. Well, good luck.
Thank you.
And I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thanks, William.
The contestants are not against the clock on this filleting challenge, and Nathan will review each one as soon as they're finished.
I don't cook a lot of fish. Tackling that huge beast, you know, I feel like I've gone a notch up in my book.
It was the biggest salmon I've ever seen in my life. Trying to get all those scales off, God, I still have them in my hair.
It was a slow process for me, but I enjoyed the experience. It probably wasn't my best work, but still I did enjoy it and enjoyed the challenge.
I like to do things from scratch, you know, like fillet your own fish and then get the feel of it.
It looked easy when Nathan was doing it, but the scaling was a bit of a nightmare because you have to go over it about 3 or 4 times, and even at the end, you know, I had to go over it again and again.
First to finish is Nisha.
So Nisha, how did you get on with that?
A little awkward at first because it's as big as me, the salmon. I filleted salmon before, but definitely not this size.
From my eyes, I think that looks a very good job. I can't see any scales on there, and it looks very, very neat.
Thank you very much.
Well, Terry, it's not an easy challenge, is it?
No, the scales are really tough. You have to double, triple check them.
Well, it's a good sign that you are checking. Yeah, I think your portioning that you've done there looks very precise. But what you've shown me there is that you've actually taken the care and respect for the fish, and you know, it's a good job. Well, Sinead, you've got 18 portions on there, and looking at them, you've got a few bigger ones, but you know, they look nice and even, so they'll cook well. Looking at this side, you know, see it's all intact, so it means you haven't hacked it off the bone, which is also a good sign. Overall, you should be very pleased with yourself, because that's not an easy task.
Thank you very much.
Well, Brian, how do you think that went?
It was a difficult task. I've never tackled a fish that size before.
What I would say is there's a few scales
Yeah.
still left on here, and I just noticed when I was walking around that, you know, some of them were a little bit, I would say, butchered. When you cook that, it will just go to mush. And there's a couple of issues with the portion. I mean, I'll see that,
Yeah.
and that's going to cook completely different size, yeah.
Last to complete the filleting challenge is Tamarin.
Well, Tamarin, I see you've got 18 portions of fish there.
Yeah.
It's a little bit harsh on the scaling there. I mean, you can see where
struggling to get it off.
It's almost, you've actually removed the texture, which probably means it'll be, see it's starting to crush a little bit on that side. So what you need to do is just a little bit more attention and then maybe not as heavy-handed with the fillets.
Coming up in part 3.
The enjoyment of the dish is just non-existent. The sauce is completely split. It actually looks like a swamp.
So far this week, the contestants have had a masterclass in filleting 8 kilos of Clare Island farmed salmon from the ultimate master, the 2 Michelin star chef Nathan Outlaw. A tough morning's work, and now things are about to get even harder.
Well, guys, good effort there with the salmon. That's not an easy task, because unfortunately for you guys, well, fortunately for you guys, it doesn't finish there. Right, if you want to come over to my station, I will work through this dish with you and show you how it's done. Okay, the dish I'm going to show you today is one of my signature dishes from my restaurant. It's roast salmon with crab mayonnaise. I've got 2 types of crab. Brown crab we're going to use for its meat. The velvet crabs we're going to use to make a stock. What we've got also here is samphire. We've got some sea purslane. And we've also got some gutweed, which doesn't sound very nice, but it's very small tubes of seaweed that basically we were going to fry them. Now, all of them sea vegetables grow where the fish lives, where the crabs live. It's a story on a plate, and that's what I wanted to show you today. Okay, so the first thing we need to do for this dish is make the stock. So we've taken these velvet crabs, they're live, but we've put them into the freezer for half an hour. So that basically puts them to sleep. It's a humane way of doing it. So we put them onto an oven tray, and that goes into the oven at 180 degrees for 45 minutes.
To form the base of his stock, Nathan sweats off carrots, onions and crushed garlic in a pan.
So you want all roughly the same size, so all we're going to do is colour them off.
Later, he adds orange zest and tomatoes.
The next stage of this recipe is to pick down the crab. You've got the claws, you take the claws off, legs, twist them away from you, like so. Okay, at this point, you get the purse, and the purse is the body, and you pull away at it like so, okay? And that'll come off away from the top. And the brown crab's all in the top part of the crab. Okay, so spoon, inside, okay, and there's all the brown crab. And it's important we use this brown crab because that's where all the flavour is. And what you're going to do is just smush that up, like so, and then put that to one side. Okay, so that's your brown crab. Now what we do is with this, we're going to basically pick it down. Okay, so one firm hit, carefully pull it apart, okay? And the reason why you're careful is because the cartilage and the shell will end up in the crab meat if you just go a bit too mad with it, okay?
Nathan carefully picks the rest of the white crab meat from the shell, making sure to constantly check for stray bits of shell or cartilage.
So white meat, stuff for the stock, and then the brown crab, okay? So the velvet crabs are roasted. You've got your roasted vegetables that you've already done, and you're going to put them into the pan, okay? And then we'll add all the trimmings from the picked crab in there as well. And we'll squeeze the orange, half of orange in there. Okay, and then we'll just cover that with water. Okay. All right, so that's enough water in there just to cover it over. Then what we need to do is bring that up to the simmer. The next part of this recipe, one of the sauces that I do, which not many other chefs do, is basically a mayonnaise sauce, okay? And when I say mayonnaise, oh yeah, you've all seen mayonnaise before, but what I do is I take mayonnaise and I thin the mayonnaise and serve it as a warm sauce. The one we're gonna do today is crab stock with a normal rapeseed and lemon mayonnaise, and that is the base of the actual sauce, okay? Okay, so the crab stock, I've got some here that I've already made. Obviously, you need to pass it off, and this has been cooked for an hour, okay? You need to get it on and get it reduced to intensify that flavour. Okay, so 2 egg yolks, grate the lemon, and then also half of it juice. The next thing we're going to do is add the oil. So I've got some light rapeseed oil here. Mix the lemon juice and the egg yolk together. And then starting off with a nice steady stream, okay, nice and slow, bit by bit. You're going to add it until you get the emulsion. And basically the emulsion is where the yolk and the oil emulsify together with the agitation of the whisk, okay? Once you've got the emulsion there, you can add it faster. And once you get to this stage now, there's very little risk of really splitting it unless you just sort of emptied the whole lot of the oil in there, okay? Now what I'm going to add to that now is once all the oil's in there, I'm going to add a little bit of salt. Okay, there's our mayonnaise, okay? Now, what we're going to do is we split this mayonnaise into two. We're going to do some for the crab and then some for the sauce. But I'm going to add to the one for the actual crab mix is we're going to add a little bit of tarragon, which is a lovely anise sort of flavour, which I think works so well with salmon and crab. Yeah, it's a really good flavour. We take some of this white crab, like so. A touch of the mayonnaise. Okay, we just bind in that. And then we add tarragon. Okay, we taste it. Always taste it before you season it. That's what we're going to test you on. So now we're going to make, just going to do our garnishes.
To prepare his garnishes, Nathan trims the samphire, picks his sea purslane, and then dries the gutweed for frying later. He then caramelises some fennel in a pan before transferring it to the oven to roast. The final element to garnish his finished dish are segments of orange.
Now at this stage we need to move quite fast. A touch of oil and your salmon into the pan, like so, okay? What we're after is a bit of colour on there before we put it into the hot oven, okay? Okay. The reason why I'm doing this is I'll make sure they've got plenty of oil under there, okay, and then that goes into the oven. And now I've got about 6 minutes to get everything else ready, okay? So sauce, 4 spoonfuls of the mayonnaise, and then what you need to do is let that down with the crab stock, okay? Now what we're going to add to that is the richness of the brown crab, okay? So the brown crab's going to go in there. We gently warm that through when the fish is nearly there. That takes 30 seconds. Right, deep fried seaweed. Hot fryer. This will spit, right? So you need to be quite quick, put it straight in. And even though it's been dried, it's still quite active, okay? And then out it comes. Okay, we take our fennel out of the oven. You know the fennel's cooked when you just check it and it's got some give where the root is, okay? Now, sea vegetables onto that tray, Okay, that's enough heat in that pan just to take the edge off them, take the rawness off them. Salmon. That's also ready. Now, once I've got to this stage, I know I'm ready to serve, so I can warm up my sauce. You need to make sure, as soon as you see steam rising from the actual sauce, you take it off the heat, because you will scramble all the eggs in there. And if you think it's too thick, add a little bit more stock. If you think it's too thin, add a little bit more mayonnaise. That's the flexibility you've got with this sauce. Have you noticed I've left the pan like that? There's enough heat when I turn this over to finish that off. That's how delicate fish is, okay? Okay, the fish is ready. Take it out of the pan. All right, pass the sauce. And that's getting rid of that lemon zest that we had in there, the brown crab. It's all in there, so we're getting rid of that. Fennel. Sauce. Then we got our crab mayonnaise. Okay, so salmon. And then we'll finish it off with a little bit more fennel. Then we got our sea vegetables, which you just scatter all over the plate. Okay. I want to see maybe some individuality on this dish. By this stage, you should be able to think up for yourselves as chefs. Finish the whole dish off with your deep fried seaweed. Okay. And then we've got a couple of these lovely orange segments. Okay. Okay, and that's it. That is my roast salmon with crab mayonnaise.
Looks amazing.
Yeah, it looks lovely.
Now you're going to go off and replicate that dish. Make sure you get all the preparation done well in advance, because when you come down to the last final 10 minutes cooking the fish, it will go very quickly and you need to have everything prepared. You've got 2 hours and 15 minutes to do the whole dish, and I wish you all the best.
So Nathan, great dish, but tell us, where could they go wrong today?
Well, I think the obvious is the salmon, the cooking of the salmon, obviously overcooking that. Probably more importantly, let it last 10 minutes when they bring the whole dish together. They've got the fish cookery, they've got the fennel in the oven, they've got the sauce that if it slightly boils, they'll have to start again. That would be where the danger is. As soon as they put that salmon in the pan, there's no return.
There's no room for error anymore. Whoever cooks the worst today really has to go.
I am actually happy with my mayonnaise. I know I spent a long time trying to whisk it, but I was just afraid that it would separate, because the last few times I've done it by hand, it separated.
Sinead can flap quite a bit, get really nervous, which is kind of endearing because it does show that she cares.
Terry, I feel personally that he holds back. He doesn't really necessarily cook with his heart. He'll write down the recipe. He's very efficient, but he doesn't really loosen up when he's cooking.
It was great to actually do that dish from start to finish. Yeah, I really enjoyed it today.
Okay guys, it's an hour and 15 minutes into the challenge. By now you should have your stocks simmering, you should have your crab picked, and you should be well on your way to doing the garnish.
My mayonnaise was fine and tasted it. It was really nice. I just hope it all comes together.
Tamarin has had some good days and bad days. She's been quite inconsistent. You know, she was quite comfortable in her workspace, where Bran looked severely under pressure. He didn't seem to be enjoying it.
That's when you have problems with anything you do.
Okay, guys, you got exactly 10 minutes left. 10 minutes left.
Toward the end, I have to cook the salmon and put the plate together. It's nail-biting.
Nisha has failed once or twice, but she definitely has the ability, has the skill. She's very precise.
Yeah, she looked like she was enjoying it as well. And I think she took the challenge on board.
The dish was all about getting the elements together just at the right time.
Okay, guys, you have 1.5 minutes left.
Okay, stop cooking. Time's up.
Terry, bring up your dish.
I feel very good today after cooking that dish, but I have to bear in mind that it's the smallest little slip-up or the smallest lack of attention to detail that's going to send someone home today.
You seem to enjoy that today.
I did enjoy it, yeah. I enjoyed it more than any other task, but for some reason I feel more nervous than I have before as well.
Salmon could be a little bit less cooked, although it's not completely over. I just worry about the amount of salt that we have in here. In terms of eating the whole dish, what I have is quite highly seasoned.
Okay, for me, the crab, I think maybe the touch heavy on the salt. The fennel's cooked the way I would cook it, a crunch to it. And I think the skin, you've achieved the crispiness on there, which is one of the things I would look for.
Yeah, it's nice that you've kept some moisture into the salmon. It's nice crispy skin on the top. It is just extremely too salty. Thanks, Terry.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Terry.
When I was walking up to table, honestly, I was shaking. I was so nervous. I was sweating. It's the most nervous I've been.
It's tiny. It's okay.
Nick found a tiny piece of shell from my crab, and I was absolutely devastated.
The quinine of crab is nicely seasoned. You get the flavour of crab coming through. There was a bit of shell there, but you know, it's minute, but still. The salmon, you've kept a nice crispy skin on the outside.
The sauce for me is quite good. Crab meat's quite a good flavour in there. I can taste the brown coming through, which is good. That's one of my favourites. And it's quite an important part of the actual crab mayonnaise itself. I'll be happy to eat it.
Okay, thank you.
I think it's a really good day's work. I think that you've shown real restraint, you've shown real control. Well done.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
It's getting nerve-wracking now. Never have my food critiqued by a 2-star Michelin chef before, so no matter what happens, I'll be interested in the feedback.
So, I'm going to ask that immortal question, are you happy?
Ish.
Ish. The amount of mayonnaise that's in the crab just doesn't seem to be there. It doesn't seem to be full of life. Just even your segments, you know, they're not perfect. The sauce is completely split. It's actually destroyed. But just even when I ask, are you happy? I expect from you now an honest to God, no, I'm not. My sauce is split. My orange segments aren't big enough. I expect all the details that I can see as plain as day.
Straight away, as Dylan said, the sauce is a split. Your salmon actually isn't badly cooked, but the eye for detail is the issue. You know, people do eat with their eyes, and that's a big part of cooking, you know, for chefs.
This is not the Brian we know. I'm sure you've let yourself down. It is disappointing, because I know you are capable of much more.
I'm not used to such negative criticism. I haven't had to take a few punches like that, so it hurts and it's tough.
So you've added some extra colour.
I did. My crabs had eggs and it's nice color and texture. So I'm ashamed to leave it out.
Very much so. Quite simply, you've done it again. I think it's a very tasty dish. I would definitely pay for that in a restaurant. Well done.
Thank you.
What I like about this dish is that you did listen to what I said, and I said recipes are there for you to show your own sort of style. And what you've done is you've used, even though it's something as simple as the eggs, you've actually shown that you've got your own imagination, which is great. Chefs need imagination as well as they need to be able to cook. And the sauce is the best we've tasted so far in my eyes. Okay. Now, for me, the salmon is a bit overcooked. It's been taken a stage too far. Not much, but a little overcooked. In comparison to what we've tried so far, there's a little bit more cooked, okay?
I think the boys have both said a lot of how I feel about this. There wasn't much left of the crab because the boys ate it all. It's all in the sauce. The sauce is beautiful and you've really captured that depth and it's incredibly light. Great job.
Thanks,
Nisha.
After I got the comment from Nick Dillon and even Nathan himself, he even said the sauce is one of the nicest one. I am over the moon. 2 Michelin star chefs said that's a nice sauce. It's really boosts my confidence.
The first thing that's wrong is your making of the sauce. The consistency is not right. It's gathered a skin. And the fennel underneath the piece that I had is quite salty as well. I don't know if I'm pulling it up through that stalk, but for me to eat that whole dish, 2 bottles of water.
It's quite a big bit of cartilage, that. Now, the reason why your sauce hasn't balanced is your mayonnaise just wasn't thick enough to start with. Your salmon is nicely cooked. You know, in the middle it's pink, but it's always going to be about the balance and the final 10 minutes of this dish. Okay, you didn't quite get there with the garnishes.
Okay, thank you.
Sinead, were you paying attention today?
I was. I just wasn't sure about the sauce. Like I was whisking and whisking.
It actually looks like a swamp. You know, we're at this stage of competition, there's a lot at stake. And we're just expecting more, you know? I mean, the salmon is nicely cooked, but it's overridden by the fact that the sauce is so salty. So just the enjoyment of the dish is just non-existent.
I've been doing quite well recently. I started off a bit shaky, but I've been like learning and using the feedback and trying to improve myself all the time. But yeah, it's a bit harsh today.
Okay, I'm sure you'll all join me in thanking Nathan for what was a very insightful and brilliant masterclass. Thank you. I think we all thoroughly enjoyed, mate. Well done. Brilliant job.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thanks, Nathan.
Thanks a
Brilliant.
million. Thank you. Now comes that time where we ask you to leave the MasterChef kitchen while we have to deliberate on the very tough choice of who has to go today.
If I went out now, I'd be disappointed, obviously, because there's a lot more learning to do and there's a lot more, adventure to go on.
Personally, for me, the best one was Nisha's. I don't know about you lot.
Mine was a mixed bag. I mean, I think the 2 girls, Misha and Tamara, they were the closest to what I would have cooked.
The person I was most impressed with today was definitely Tamara. She got more notes right. I think Terry really failed today with the saltiness. I mean, you couldn't eat the dish. Brian, to be fair, just the sauce lost it.
I couldn't have stressed more when I was showing them in the masterclass about getting everything ready before you got to the final 10 minutes.
Sinead's sauce, even the colour, like surely she could have seen that the colour wasn't right.
I think that once she got the mayonnaise wrong, she didn't know how to fix it.
Before we go any further, both of us feel that you need clear feedback from your cooking today.
So Tamara, you said a couple of days ago that you were back in the competition. The dish you cooked today displayed that. Both of us were impressed, including Nathan, with your sauce, with your fish, with what you produced. You really are back. Well done.
Thanks.
Misha, this morning you prepped the fish impeccably. Every pin bone, every scale. When it came to cooking this evening, the sauce was beautiful. The crab was beautiful. However, the fish was a little overcooked. You can't afford mistakes like that. Terry, it's fair to say, through your confidence and your nerve, you're definitely improving. However, the level of detail that is needed, the persistence of execution that is needed to finish every mouthful, every drop of sauce, every bit of crab, every bit of fish, to go after that, to actually execute a great dish, takes that last 20%.
Okay.
Sinead, the dish fell down today. A lot. It's as if the eye for detail isn't there sometimes. You need to know what's important in a dish. You need to know what the main pitfall is, where it can really go wrong. Sometimes I don't think you see where it can really go wrong. Bran. We went from a man exploring texture and precision to having neither. The eye for detail was gone, completely slipped. The scales, the bones, the precision. Where is that, Bran?
Sinead, we can't let you go any further in the competition. Will you please leave the MasterChef kitchen and hang up your apron? Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bran, it's easy to do it when you have confidence. The measure of a cook is coming back when your confidence has been rattled. You've got to come back. You've got to show that you deserve to be here. We've seen strokes of brilliance, but you need your confidence at every pace. You have to attack it with confidence. If you don't, you end up where you are today, having flapped and lost it all. So we need you to come back.
Okay. So the final four, will you please leave the MasterChef kitchen through the main doors?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
It's been the most challenging thing I've ever done in my life, certainly. It's brought me to my limits. I fought my way to where I got, through sweat and tears. But I got here and I got to the last five, so I'm thrilled with that. I'm still going to go after my dream, which is getting a house in France eventually and opening some kind of gourmet weekend foodie thing. So no, I'll definitely do that.